Hey guys, Vengeful Shadows here. We're going to bring you another Market Watch video today. And this card, it's a favorite. I like this one a lot. Definitely picked up a bunch of them way back in the day. And I definitely side them in decks that kind of like have extra deck space, like Nurse Burn and things like that. As you've been seeing in other videos, I like that deck a lot. But Ghost Reaper, super solid card. And I don't think it's kind of like waiting for a certain meta for it to be good, but mainly like a certain player to make it good, to take it to that tournament, to enter it with that extra deck that he knows he's going to be able to hit from the opponents, like rather he's using it for mirror matches or just has like no extra deck that he can extravagance away and is able to basically hit multiple targets out of it. Okay, so we're going to basically be going into the effect of Ghost Reaper and how it's good, and kind of like ways to utilize it to bring it to the full potential, as well as go over some of the prices with it, okay, to show you the different versions, as well as like the version to kind of maximize like profit on that if you want to buy it while it's cheap. So we're going to dive into that right now. So we do have, since it is one of the Ghost Sister hand traps, we got two kind of arts of it. I'm definitely a fan of the original one. You just got the Scythe. I like the Scythe a lot. Super cool. But we're going to go into the effect of it right now. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, quick effect, you can discard this card, reveal one card from your extra deck, then look at your opponent's extra deck. Also banish all cards in their extra deck with the same name as that revealed card. And then you can only use the effect of Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries once per turn. So it's pretty much standard with all the Ghost Sisters that they are hand traps, okay? So during your opponent's turn, mainly, you're going to be using them a lot. And so this one, if they control more monsters than you do, so if you're going second, this is definitely going to be a card you can have activate relatively easily. You can pitch it from your hand, discard it. So once again, like the other sisters, it doesn't have to go straight to the graveyard. So if they have Macrocosmo or Dimensional Fissure up, you can just still discard it and it'll go banish, but you can still get the effect off, all right? And then you reveal your extra deck, and then you look at your opponent's extra deck, okay? You reveal one card in your extra deck, look at your opponent's extra deck, and then banish all cards in their extra deck of the revealed name, okay? So that's why when this card came out, I'm pretty sure Burning Abyss was still pretty popular, or at least increasing in popularity. So they were kind of assuming they could hit Dante's out of the opponent's extra deck by revealing their own, okay? And that was obviously pretty good. Dante was kind of a staple at the time for the Burning Abyss player. So if you were able to get rid of their Dantes early on in the game, it was pretty much over. I guess I just remember they were like $40 or more like when they first came out, and then did not see a lot of play, mainly because they do have to go second to utilize it a lot. So going first was obviously still pretty good. So we're going to go over some targets as well, but once again, I still think this is a card that isn't only good in mirror matches, but can be like you can tech in stuff where you can like because you can side deck stuff in your side deck that can side into your extra deck. So you can always side in a card that you're not sure you're going to be going against. If your extra deck is super tight, you don't have a lot of room in there, you can always toss one in the side deck, okay, and then put it like kind of how people were doing with Starving Venom, and then you'll hit that target out with the Ghost Reaper, okay. So right now, the big target that I've been trying to hit a lot is Red Eye's Dark Dragoon, okay. So obviously everyone's been kind of going into this off Anaconda and off the Red Eyes Fusion. The nice thing too is a lot of people try to do it when they go first. So they'll get their initial setup going, and as long as they're not getting a monster effect on the board, or some people kind of get stuck with the weird hands, so they instantly go into the Anaconda. They'll use the Anaconda effect, dump the fusions, and then you're going to be able to Ghost Reaper out the target. Okay, so hit the Red Eyes, or what we're going to be hitting also soon is going to be that Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. Okay, so you can basically chain it to their effects or to their, the fusion effect, and then be able to hit the target out of the extra deck. And that's kind of like another reason why the quick effect of Ghost Reaper is just so useful, is because you can chain it to stuff. And we're getting into that kind of like age now where we're seeing cards like fusions like get back more into the metagame. Unlike kind of when Dante was out, it was all about like inherent summons, okay? So they don't start chains, they just summon to the board. So even if you have a quick effect, it still isn't like as useful as like being able to stop a card like the Destiny or the Fusion Destiny, where they activate it and they get the target's going. You just send it, the Ghost Reaper out, and then get rid of the target for the fusion. And then half the time they have already burnt the card if they don't have other like targets in the extra deck. So it's definitely super useful against like any type of fusion variant, especially those that are like stuck to strict fusions that, like in their extra deck, like how people have been attacking Red Eyes and Destiny Hero, Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. Okay. Um, some of the other very, very, very notable cards I'll be going over. Like, keep in mind this isn't out to like any extra deck card as long as you're running it. And I'm not going to call it like a budget like tech because it like the card itself is budget, and I feel like that's where people kind of go wrong. Where describing Ghost Reaper, like the card itself can be budget. You can get this for like $1. Okay, like depending on the variant you get, it's very cheap. Okay, and they're like all holographic, so that's awesome. But if you're citing it for the meta, you need the copy of the card, at least one. So I'm not going to be like, oh, this is the budget like side deck card, because if your only target or like your main target is hitting Destroy Phoenix Enforcer or the Dragoon, you have to have that card. And if you're a budget player, picking up those like prime cards can be pretty difficult. Okay. So I'm not going to try to say that's budget, but you can also hit out many other like cheaper cards as well. And like I said, just a lot of notable stuff. And as anything goes into that extra deck, into the meta, that is also a card Ghost Reaper can out. So definitely keep in mind in the future. Just love the card. Other good ones, we got the one of Prank Kids Meow Meow Moo. After that 1/1, that's like kind of the easy target. Especially being the Link 1, hitting Link 1s with Ghost Reaper is just super awesome. Like they summon the initial monster, you Ghost Reaper out either the Meow Meow Mew, or if they're doing trap tricks, you get like the Sarah, and it definitely hurts them, okay? And a lot of times, if they don't have a good follow-up play at all, they're going to scoop the game up. And especially if you're playing like a super hardcore, like go second, like you're about to go in like Drytrons or something, and they go first, and you like Ghost Reaper them or something, like they're done. Okay, they're gonna be scooping that up. The Doodle Doo, that's a card that is like still very good in the Prey Kids deck. If you hit all copies out of their extra deck, they're still stunned. I know Prank Kids are kind of like they're in the meta, but with everything coming out after the new pack, we're going to be seeing a lot of newer stuff. So I just wanted to cover those, but I still think we're going to be seeing them kind of go out of the meta slightly. Igniters have been kind of like in and out. I've been seeing a bunch of them, especially on the dueling book. Very popular deck, very consistent deck. Very much based around the Dark Infant. Okay, so once they summon that initial Igniter, gets that search off, you can Ghost Reaper the Dark Infant, and it's going to stop a lot of their plays, especially if they can't, like if they don't have the AI land already in their hand, that's going to be a big problem for them. Because this card is like the immediate AI land to their hand. So, Drone Lock's very good against the deck. Very good against the deck. Ghost Reaper, in my opinion, can just shut that stuff down. Okay. We got the Moo Beta Fafnir for the Drytrons. Okay. And as everyone knows, this is kind of like the bread and butter for the deck. Because when it is ritual summoned, or like when you ritual summon, you can detach materials from it to essentially like ritual summon. Like you can use its materials, which is like super strong. When it succeeds summoned, you can send Drytron card from the deck to the graveyard, which just is super huge setup because, as you know, they all activate from the graveyard, and then they'll just basically pitch, summon, get their effects off. You'll get the spells, you'll use the spells, detach from him. It just cycles very well. And then he also has a quick effect that a lot of people kind of forget about that can negate cards. And just like removing all three from the game is just huge. Like getting rid of the Fafnir is gonna make that matchup so much easier, if not just completely win you the duel like right there. But I don't want to like count them out. They have a bunch of options in that deck, but a lot of that isn't going to happen with this guy not on the board. Okay. Obviously Sky Strikers, those Link ones, gotta love it. Okay. And hitting all the Kagari out of the extra deck when they're just like setting up for it and they just get rid of the engage, you're just like, I'm sorry, man. Bye-bye, Kagari. But you do have to be careful in which way you Ghost Reaper these, because like we got the raise quick effect to Link essentially. So you do have to be careful. You can't just be like, oh, I'm just gonna Ghost Reaper and I'll do all this, because they can start chaining stuff in response if they know what you're up to. So definitely be careful on that. Do it as soon as you can. Hit the Kagari, hit the Hyate, and during the end phase, make sure they don't get that ad. It's really good. But also, I feel like Kagari is like a really good one. But if they're like playing around and get a monster on their board that's gonna stick, and you know they gotta Zeke out of it, or whatever the hell this card's name is, like, hit this. Because then they're stuck. And they got two monsters on board, especially if they're trying to like mine you or something, like just some of that stuff that we know the Sky Striker decks do. Hit the little rank 2 out, and like you can do that against like a bunch of mine like plays, is just hit that extra like link they're going to be going into, so it locks up that mine at 2. Okay. But even just Sky Strikers, keep that monster in the monster zone is just so key, and Ghost Reaper makes that happen very easily. Okay. Striker Dragon and Dragon Link still super, super good. You're going to get rid of the only target. Doesn't matter how many is that. You're going to get rid of all of them. But getting rid of the Striker Dragon early game is definitely a good setup. Heavenly Dragon Spheres is still a very good target to hit as well. I don't have it on the list here just because of the space, but still a very good target. I guess I could have put stuff from the side deck into the main deck, but whatever. I said earlier, Trap Trick Sarah, easy target. With the Trap Tricks, this is their engine for the most part. Only 800 attack, but Rafflesia will protect it after they go into it, either off the Shade Brigadine or the Parallel Exceed, because they're going to have one. Like, they're going to make a Sarah and a Rafflesia first turn, at the very least, okay? So that's going to be good to hit out with the cherries, especially if your deck has issues with those types of matchups, like going into trap-only deck. Like I said, hitting out when they're setting up for like the big links, very easy to tell, especially in like a Sky Striker build where they're just widow anchoring all your stuff and just burning all their resources. Because a lot of people will like go resource heavy into kill for Access Code Talker. So when you can tell they're going straight into it, like they bring out the link that summons the spellcaster and they link into the access code and they drop the Veiler on the board, Winter Cherries. They got two monsters. You're normally going to be able to Winter Cherries because they'll have more than you if they're not already just like have a full board and you don't have anything. So hitting access code, very prime target and a very easy target to hit given the requirements for access code on the board. Okay. We got that new, I don't know how to pronounce them, but it's like the new worm deck that summons tokens. They synchro into a bunch of synchros, negate your stuff, and then pound your face in. And Ghost Reaper, once again, will be hitting the big targets, and it will be pretty easy to tell which targets to hit. I know they go into like the Tenyi, level 8, they go into the Baron de Fleur, but being able to hit like the large star, like the high level monsters out of the extra deck will be once again like easier to do, easier to predict, and very beneficial in the early game against that deck. Okay, and I like the deck. I just feel like the bird deck, that Plunder Breeze deck, like might be a little bit harder to like. I won't say counter, but I don't know. I don't like that deck. I've played against the Worms, and I feel like that, like with a good enough trap build or something, you can kind of like out them a bunch. So, and another way to out them is just go Ghost Reaper their stuff away. So, this one you definitely want to give a little time on. Ghost Reapering that water deck that's coming out is definitely big. All right, and it's totally up to you which one you'd want to hit. In my opinion, I'm pretty sure Shark, depending what variant they're running, I guess. but a lot of them are just like relying 100% on Bahamut Shark. Okay, we're gonna have like that jellyfish thing come out soon that basically like summons like the like I don't know, like it's one of the rank 4 waters coming out. It's not right now, so I'm just kind of focusing on like what we're hitting here. All right, so Bahamut Shark is kind of like the rank 4 water of the deck, and it summons out the toad. Once these toads get on the board, things become a problem. Okay, and then they take the sharks, overlay them into the utopic guy over here, the F0, and then they go into the Draco over the 0. Okay, if they've already ran into the sharks and you cannot Ghost Reaper until like the sharks are on there or something like that, hit the toad. And if you cannot hit the toad or the toads have already been used and they haven't gone into the F0 Draco yet, definitely hit the future before you hit the Draco, like from the extra deck. Like if you're like, especially if you're in like a mirror match with like water and you got the exact same, you can hit all these targets without having to side deck half of these. Okay, like if you're playing water, definitely recommend Ghost Reaper, okay? Because you're going to be hitting a bunch of targets easy, okay? So, like I said, primary targets, Bahamut Sharks, and then Toads, and then you're going to go into the F0 for like third like target, okay? Because getting rid of the Utopic Future is better than getting rid of the Draco, because Draco's nice, but Utopic Future can have a standalone, okay? He can start still popping off with this, taking your monsters, doing all sorts of stuff you don't want, okay? But once again, if you can, and he hasn't yet, or if he's just like summon 1 fish, summon 2 fish, and you're going second, you got the Ghost Reaper, hit the Bahamut Shark 100% of the time. Okay, that's gonna shut that stuff down. Okay, and then obviously we got Burning Abyss. You can always hit the Rusty Blade. Rusty Blade is very, very, very good, but I would hit the Cherubini. Because it will not allow them to go into the Burning Abyss spam. Okay, this is what allows the Burning Abyss just like rely on the to stay on the board without having their effects just completely destroy them. And I feel like hitting the Cherubini out of the extra deck is just like super key. All right, and once again, if any of you guys think of like super good targets or want to add to like the list or want to see any reviews, like in anything, please like definitely leave a comment. I'm gonna see some comments. I'm gonna see like some people like being like, "Oh man, this card would be like really insane to counter this," or "This card's better than this card." I don't know. I don't even care. I just want to see some like creative thought going. You know, like I said, Utopic Future, super good. Hit that in the water deck or like in other matchups. Like other decks are using the Draco, so if you see they're going to be able to set up for it, hit the Utopic Future instead of the Draco because Draco will be useless. Okay, Utopic Future is still very good. Evil Twins, I just wanted to give a super big shout out to them. Like they're getting a little bigger in the meta. So hitting one of them, if not both of them, out of the extra deck is key. Okay, there's the one that destroys and the one that draws. You can kind of like tell which one you want to hit or whatever. Like, but they're both good targets to hit with the Ghost Reaper and they're easy targets. Like I said, easy to chain off the Predator Plants or any of the spell cards like Red Eyes Fusion or Fusion Destiny. And then I just wanted to give a shout out because it's a dark. So if you're playing darks, you know, always that good target. But it's just nice. It's like we're definitely one of the Ghost Sisters. It's the dark of the Ghost Sister. And then I feel like it's a little bit easier to get around the crossout designator because not as many people are playing it. Okay. So as like the popularity of it goes up, it'll be a target for a crossout designator. But as of now, unless you are in the OCG, which they are slightly playing this card now a little bit more, it kind of gets around it. I always like to think that, you know, with any of them and a bunch of the hand traps, you know, like if you go first, even like Tour Guide, Sangan, link into something like Anaconda, and like just get a board that can kind of somewhat set up. Adding anything to your hand's good. Just saying random stuff at that point. But one big shout out to you as well. And like this is something I'll probably do a video on as well as like it was in one of the price like things I was talking about. Is this Pendulum Monster, Anchem Mufrite? I don't know. But good card. We've been seeing this played in like Monarchs, like the up and coming Monarch decks, that when people like try to lock people out of the extra deck. So if you have no cards in the extra deck, you can destroy it in your Pendulum Zone, draw a card. If it's in your extra deck and you have no other cards in your extra deck besides itself, like of its name, you can summon it once per turn, but it's banished face up. But it's banished when it's leaves the field. Okay. So keep in mind, pendulums, including ones that like you're going to be like hitting, are able to be hit with that. Wow, that timed out at the worst times. But like pendulums are able to be hit like with Ghost Reaper. Okay, so if you have a named pendulum in your extra deck, like you can hit it with the Ghost Reaper cherries. Because it just says, one card in your extra deck, then look at your opponent's extra deck. So if you're playing a Pendulum deck and you face a Pendulum deck, Ghost Reaper does have targets for that instantly, especially in the main deck. So definitely worth keeping track of, especially earlier on. Or like later on in the game as it progresses, maybe we'll have Pendulums come back in, and that would be a good side against them. But if you guys are liking any of this, do keep in mind we got a Twitter. Got a Twitch, lots of Destiny on there, but we're trying to expand into the Yu-Gi-Oh! On Twitch as well. And of course, YouTube. So please share. We do appreciate it. And then, if you are trying to pick any of this card up, let's go over this real quick. We do have a bunch of copies of it. Like I said, they're all holographic. Do enjoy. We got a bunch of ultra rares. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 ultra rares. Honestly, Advent Calendar. I love Advent Calendars. Those are really, really nice. Okay. Especially like future. It's nice having those. But we got the gold one. Not my biggest fan. But then we got Secrets 2017 Megatin or the Shining Victories. And if I would have to pick one, which I did, it is the Shining Victories one, which is the original set. Okay, so first set, Secret Rare. I always go with that until the ultis come out. Seems like Konami wants to keep that as a good rarity for cards, especially like reprinting cards into a secret form from an ultra form or a super form. I do recommend picking up that secret reprint. It's almost like they want that to be the higher one nowadays. Okay, that's in one of the other videos, but we're just gonna stay with this. Right now, they are, we see like 13, 14 bucks, 15 bucks right now, 15 to 16 for a first edition Near Mint. Pretty good for a hand trap. The reason it's held down so much right now, unlike like Haunted and Bell, is A, it's not in the format, B, there's another secret rare print of that card, okay? But other cards such as, Extravagance has a secret reprint, but it's a different type of secret reprint, so it's kind of harder to judge that. But certain cards like Strike and cards that have had like same reprints as secret kind of like stay down, but they do start rising. But I do believe if someone were to take this to a major tournament, start citing it and get it played, get it known, and start showing how good this card is, it's going to be a lot more than $15 for a Near Mint Secret First Ed. So again, hopefully you guys are liking the video, and Ghost Reaper Winter Cherries is definitely a good card to try citing, alright? So have a good one, and stay safe.